What's up, Wes?
What's going on, man?
Paylakes, taking fish out of the wild to put them in Paylakes. Is it right? Is it wrong? What's the
Uh,
answer?
I don't know. Is there an answer?
Well, this controversy is this debate has been going on for many years, and I think I think one of the biggest issues there's a lot of anecdotal evidence supporting um, both sides. A lot of anecdotal evidence supporting the recreational fishermen that are against the Trophy Paylakes, but there's not a lot of science. So I think that commercial fishing for catfish, we're always going to have it. There are uses for catfish. People, we like to eat them. They're good. I
Yeah.
remember being down at the James River and seeing a custom boat come in, big huge boat with all these containers on it, all of them slap full of catfish. So there's a market for it. But putting regulations on them where they can only keep one over a certain size blue flat or flathead, is it going to hurt the commercial fishermen?
Yeah.
What kind of regulations could you put on commercial fishermen that will least affect their livelihoods? I know that I thought we had a lot of Paylakes down here, but there's actually a majority of the Paylakes in the country is in Ohio, Southwest Ohio. I think they have over 100 Paylakes, and there's one that has 4 lakes on. It's the same way around here. A lot of our carp lakes, carp fisheries around here, carp ponds, they'll have numerous ponds. Midway in Kings Mountain, they have 2 ponds. Ward's Carp Lake up in the mountains, they have 2. One's a catfish lake, one's a carp lake. Well, this place in Ohio has 4, and 3 of them are trophy ponds, and they harvest around, they say, 15,000 pounds a year of trophy catfish per pond every year. Now, I've heard a lot of guys argue that this whole, because you hear a lot of us guys that are against the Paylakes talking about the genetics of a catfish, how they all don't have the genetics to grow into trophies. Well, I've heard a lot of the people that are for Paylakes saying that the science isn't there for that. That's just something that we say to back our side, which that actually isn't true. I was actually able to did a little Google searching, and China Agriculture University actually did a study on the genetics of fish, and they were able to find out things like that salmon were shrinking. They were maturing earlier and becoming smaller. They were able to find that out from the genes. The study also it proved it was powerful in the identification and characterization of genes influencing complex traits such as size and how big a catfish gets. So you've heard people talk about, like I was talking about earlier today, these small catfish I've been catching in the river have had little tiny mouths. They got little small heads on them. Those fish aren't going to become trophy catfish size fish. Now, you'll catch some fish 10 to 15 pounds that'll have a giant head on them. So the size of the head on the catfish definitely is a characteristic that determines if the catfish is going to become trophy size or not. We probably got some comments.
I've always heard that, a fish grow to their surroundings, any fish. Years ago, we were down at Santee Cooper, and we were up in the Convergence Canal catching bait. Long story short, I wound up with a brim about 4 inches long in my bait tank that was still living when I got home. So I put it in my wife's aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
That fish lived in there for 5 years. You know how big he got?
How big?
Couldn't even tell he growed at all. He lived, he eat every day, but he never did gain no size.
Yeah.
He never got bigger because, you know, I think that was like a 60-gallon aquarium, 50-gallon, whatever it was. I've just always heard that fish adapt to their surroundings. They grow to their surroundings. Now, I'm not no fish biologist.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think that's true. I've always heard that too. And I don't see, how that really, couldn't have at least some truth to it. I don't know the science behind it, but I could see that, I think it has a lot to do with their forage too.
Yeah.
The quality of the water, and if you'll notice, fish on the Tennessee River tend to get larger. Fish on the James River, tidal river, a lot of flow, a lot of oxygen, a lot of nutrients, a lot of forage for the fish to eat. I think that, all of that determines.
Well, with any fish, catfish, striper, brim, bass, my opinion, the less stress those fish are under, the more they're going to eat. If you're stressed, if you're having a bad day, you're not hungry, you're not going to eat.
Well, yeah, they're dying from something. I don't know if they might be starving to death in these Paylakes. I know that, it takes a catfish around, I don't know, at least 15 years to get trophy size, say 50 pounds. Like, I think the James River, I think that's in the James River, probably longer than that in other rivers and lakes. But, these fish are living a long time, 15, 20, 30 years. They're taking them, putting them in these Paylakes, and they're dying in 6 months. They're stocking 15,000 pounds a year conservatively in these Paylakes of trophy catfish, and at least half of them are dead in 6 months.
Now, what determines a trophy catfish?
Well, that's a subjective word, but 50-pound class fish.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. I'm gonna tell you a little story right here, and all you catfishermen are the ones that'll watch tuning in later. Y'all probably not gonna like my opinion on this, but this is my show, so I'm gonna give it, and I don't give a shit whether you like it or not.
That's right.
When I was growing up, I lived on a mill village, and I made this post on Facebook years ago. My mama worked at a textile mill. I couldn't afford to go to Hartwell. The closest thing I had to fishing was a Paylake with catfish in it, which was at that time, I don't know if anybody on here is from where I'm at or close to me right now. I don't even know how many people's on here, but we had a Paylake called Reds, and we had a Paylake called Grosses. And my first big catfish, they did an advertisement one weekend at Grosses that they had some Santee. All they said was big Santee blues. That was the big thing back then. Everything was Santee. It don't matter if some bitch came from Georgia. They advertised it as Santee.
Yeah.
So, I went fishing that morning. My mom dropped me off up there at 7 o'clock, and I think I caught like a 25-pound catfish. I'm 12 years old. One of the biggest thrills of my life. I actually had and I had a Zepco 33. I propped it up on my tackle box, and I was sitting there talking to this guy beside me, and my rod just bounced down. And I went and picked it up. Long story short, I caught that fish. So, to me, Paylakes it's one thing that really turned me on to fishing. And here's the deal. There are a lot of people till this day, I told this story before. People said, well, they can go to a river, they can go to a lake, they can, a lot of people cannot just take off and drive 45 minutes or an hour to Hartwell. A lot of people cannot go down to the closest river to me is the Saluda River. So let's look at this wisely from a wise standpoint. If I can't afford to go to these places, but I can go to a pay pond, and I know I'm pretty much going to catch a fish. I'm going to pay for my permit, and I'm going to catch a fish. But I can drive all the way to Hartwell, and I'm on the bank, and you're talking about what, 85,000 acre impoundment? You're liable to fish you could fish years from the bank at Hartwell and never catch a fish. But you can go to a pay pond and catch them. So The moral of the story is, and this is just my opinion, I know y'all catfishermen probably ain't going to like this, but I don't catfish anyway.
I think most of them would agree with what you've said so far.
But what I'm saying is, do I think it's wrong to take them from some places like Santee Cooper, these big rivers, and put them in pay ponds? At the end of the day, Somebody's catching that fish, whether they're catching it in a big lake or they're catching it in a pay lake. Somebody's enjoying catching that big fish. Now, will that fish live longer in a pay pond? I would probably say not. You take it out of one surrounding and put it in a outer surrounding.
I think the question is the future. What's the future going to look like?
Yeah, but there again, I'm not saying this down in catfish, but they live. They're a whole lot easier to keep alive than a lot of other fish are, like striper, trout, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. They're not a game fish. They're not even classified as a game fish. They're more abundant. They're more, what was that word we used, JR? They're more hardy. They're more of a hardy fish than a striper is,
Well, don't forget, we're talking trophies now.
Okay, 50-pound catfish, 60-pound catfish. At the end of the day, brother, it's still a catfish. They live. They're
well. I mean, you said that they were very abundant.
Yeah,
we're talking trophies here.
Well, I'll tell you, 20 years ago, I was catching 40 and 50-pound catfish down Santee Cooper and thought I was doing something. People didn't even turn their head and look at a 50-pound fish down there. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. But the point of what I'm trying to make is, to me, if it wasn't for Paylakes, I might not even be interested in fishing today, because that was the only outlet I had to fish. So this is just my opinion. I say, yeah, if they want to go take some fish out of Santee Cooper and put them in a pay pond, so somebody that will never get to experience that or hasn't got to yet can experience that, even though they have to do it at the pay pond. At the end of the day, why does it matter if a 10-year-old kid catches a 50-pound fish in a pay pond or out of a big lake? I just don't see it.
I agree with you as far as introducing kids to fishing. I think that's definitely a pro.
Yeah.
To a pay lake, and it's cheaper, not just for kids, but for poor people or for people just to get into fishing. I mean, fishing is expensive. You have to buy a license. You don't have to have a license to go fish a pay lake. You ain't got to have a fishing license. In Fisherman did a study one year by mail, and they concluded that less than 1% of licensed fishermen fished at a pay lake that year. So, heck, all we got to do is just buy all these Paylakers fishing license, and they'll stop raping our rivers. But yeah, it's
like Jason Penley just said. Jason said, Paylakes give a kid easy opportunity to catch a big fish. Not everyone has an opportunity to fish in a boat. And and there again, that's why I say that now. So I'm not saying this bragging, but I've worked my whole life. Me and my wife, my wife now, she's a great lady. We both work. I can go fishing anywhere in the fucking world I want to go. A lot of people don't have that opportunity till this day. That's why I say the Paylakes, for me, they've got I'm not going to say I necessarily support them, but I understand where they're coming from. But at the end of the day, we know it's about money. Paylakes are putting those big fish in there for the most part, not so a kid can say, hey, I've caught a big fish, or not so a man or woman can go out here and say, hey, I caught big trophy catfish out of a pond. They're doing it for money. They're not doing it for the people. We all know that, because everything goes back to money.
Well, if the genes don't matter, then why are they catching the trophies out of wild water? Why don't they just buy farm raised blues and, if their lakes make their lakes healthy or ponds healthy enough to grow trophy catfish? I mean, that would be impossible, but I think most people have no problem with Paylakes. It's the trophy Paylakes. It's not the Paylakes that are buying fish, because they buy fish from commercial fishermen. And or farm raised, they buy farm raised fish and stock their ponds with it.
But at the end of the day, though, everybody wants to catch a big fish. It's all about, if you catch a 10 today.
So do you decimate a trophy fishery for the future just so a kid can catch a trophy fish today?
Well, there again, does it matter if he catches it at Santee Cooper, if he catches it up here at Gross's Paylake?
Yes, because these people are taking hundreds of tonnage of trophy catfish yearly out of these rivers and lakes.
But why are they doing it?
To stock Paylakes.
And why are they putting them in Paylakes? So people can what?
So people can pay to fish.
Exactly. So and catch them. So like I said, at the end of the day,
my point is, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You can't.
Well, buddy, there's
A
not
kid,
really.
a kid in 20. Yeah, there's definitely sustainability. I mean, look what they're doing with all the regulations they have on striped bass. You would not have caught those fish in Chesapeake Bay that you've been catching if it weren't for regulations. Those regulations saved the fishery. There have been
Wait, hold on a minute. What regulations? Back up now. What regulations?
lots of regulations.
The commercial fishermen up there are killing the Chesapeake Bay.
They still are, but it used to be way, way worse because they used to not have to release. They used to be able to just throw back what they wanted to keep the larger fish because the larger fish would bring more money at market. When they were trawling, they'd get thousands of stripers and they'd be like, I don't want that one. We don't want these. We don't want these. And they would be thousands of them just floating that they didn't want. And they would only keep the big ones. Decimated the fishery. Finally, like in 2014 or somewhere along in there, they made the law, changed the law, made the regulation where these commercial fishermen could not do that any longer. They had a certain weight that they had to get. Once they got that weight, it didn't matter what size fish it was. Once they got that weight, they had to stop. No, there was no throwing fish back. They weren't supposed to. I understand that people don't abide by the law, but it's just, it still does go on. But at least we do have the law there in place. And the Commonwealth of Virginia is probably a lot better than most states at, having wildlife officers and, personnel to actually enforce those laws.
Well, like I said, and there again, at the end of the day, we argue, and it's really not as bad now in the striper community as it used to be. But whatever we're doing with catfishing, striper, brim, bass, crappie, whatever, if it's legal and they're not breaking the law, what can you do? We can sit here and beat the shit out of it. Right. It's like beating a dead dog. The dog ain't going to hunt if he's dead. And I think tonight all we're giving is our opinions and stuff. But for me, the bottom line was a Paylake is what really got me into fishing. I experienced it at a Paylake. My parents couldn't afford to take me to Hartwell or just take me somewhere, and drop me off and come back and get me. I went to Paylakes. That's where I was introduced to fishing. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's still about money. Them Paylakes are over there to make money. I'm sure they probably like to see people catch fish, so they'll come back. But me personally, taking a couple of 50-pound fish out of
there's just not enough benefit. The owners of the Paylake are getting paid. Other commercial fishing, like when they're like the what is it called? Omega, the company, the Canadian-based company.
They're all in Chesapeake Bay now doing the menhaden.
Right, menhaden. Yeah, they one of their nets ripped. They caught an anchor on the bottom. Ripped one of their nets, and like 500,000 menhaden washed up on shore. And the menhaden population took a hit back in the early 90s, and it has never recovered. I mean, you might think there's a lot of menhaden, but there's actually not. It never recovered. And so things like that are very important. Omega needs to make sure that things like that don't happen, nets getting ripped, and they should know that they've been doing that out there for 100 years. They ought to know the bottom of the, but that is, there's a lot of strict regulations on that. And those fish are actually used for a plethora of things. They're in your cat food. They're in your medications, your omega-3, your fish oils. They sell them to be, consumed by. So they have a lot of trophy catfish. They get put in a pond to die for nothing but to pay the guy that owns the lake.
Well, somebody's catching them though, right? They're there for somebody.
They're paying to catch them. Yeah, someone is catching. Yeah, but they're only getting caught so many times.
Yeah,
they're dying and they're getting thrown in a dumpster. And
well, JR, here's Todd Smith says, and I was actually fixing to kind of bring this up, but I wasn't sure. Todd Smith says, I find it hard to believe there are enough Paylakes to put a dent in the catfish population of our reservoirs, but now commercial fishing use all the gill nets and definitely have a lot definitely have a lot if by catch that hurts the game fish. And what about the people that put out jugs and the gill nets and okay. Well, let me back up. These people is putting these fish into Paylakes. What are they doing? Are they catching them on rod and reel, keeping them, and then taking them to the Paylakes?
They're catching them in hoop nets, and they do use gill nets. They use trot lines. They use a lot of different tactics. I think your trot lines probably account for more of your bigger fish, but a lot of large fish are still caught in the hoop nets. There's let's see, there's a hoop net. Let's see if I can find you another one here. Here's some. Here's a haul going to a Paylake, and they get thrown away once they. I've got some more pictures that I haven't uploaded, but yeah, these things just get thrown in the dumpster or out in the woods. A lot of times they'll die, like when you weigh them in, because it's gambling. That's pretty much all carp fishing is. It's the same thing, same exact thing. You'll get money if you catch a certain slot. You'll get money if you catch, they'll tag some of the fish. If you catch a tagged one, it's worth a certain amount of money. And they have tournament anglers, Paylake tournament anglers.
At the end of the day, though, let's look at it like this. At the end of the day, these fish are stocked. These fish are stocked in our major lakes for what? People to catch them. Is that correct? For them to grow and be caught? Is that correct?
Some lakes and rivers, they have stockings. Some don't.
Well, Santee Cooper. I don't even know if they still stock Santee Cooper or not. I'm not sure. I hadn't fished down there in years since I started striper fishing. But what I'm saying is those fish are put there or were put there for anglers to catch them, right?
Recreation. Yes.
So I just don't, and there again, it may be more than I understand because I don't catfish, but I just still can't see what's wrong with taking them out of one body of water and putting them in another body of water for somebody else to have a chance to catch these same fish that these people that have plenty of money in a boat and can go catch them. It gives people that don't have the money and don't have the opportunity to go to a big lake, they get a chance to catch the same fish. I'm sorry, I just can't see nothing wrong with that, but that's just my opinion. I guess I've always been for the underdog.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're beating a dead dog. JR, at the end of the day, if something's legal, it don't matter. People's going to do it, and they're going to do stuff illegal.
I think one of the biggest problem for people trying to stop this from happening and to get laws and regulations to stop it is that you have to prove that like it's biologically detrimental biologically to the ecosystem to basically rid or make go extinct a trophy catfishery. Because all catfish don't become trophy size catfish, and they're taking these genes. They're taking the whole gene pool out of the river every time they take one, and they're taking them by the tens of thousands every year. And you can ask tournament anglers that fish in Ohio, that fish the Ohio River. These the tournament weigh-ins are becoming less and less every year. They can't prove that it's because of the Paylakes. But, anecdotally, it definitely points in that direction.
Well, JR, at the end of the day, though, like I said, what's the difference if you catch a 50-pound fish out of a Paylake or I caught it at Santee Cooper?
Well, I mean, what would be the difference if you – what if I went out and caught, bluefin tuna and commercial fish bluefin tuna? They're already – have extremely strict regulations and laws on bluefin tuna, extremely strict. So what if we just did away with the laws and regulations, just let people and just basically make the bluefin tuna go extinct and just take the bluefin tuna and take them over here to Paylakes. And I mean, they might live like, I don't know, 4 minutes. You might get them to live. You might have 4 minutes to catch one.
You're comparing
you got 6 months to catch a trophy catfish or it's dead. And the genes are gone.
You're comparing a bluefin tuna to a pay pond catfish.
Well, I'm trying to make a point. My point is there aren't going to be any more trophy catfish.
Why?
There aren't going to be any more. there's not going to be any more. You're taking them out. You're putting them in a Paylake to die. Ain't going to be no more. You only got so many.
Legality thing. Is it legal? I'm sure the DNR and the biologists, they kind of keep account.
Well, it used to be legal to eat dodo birds. It used to be illegal to eat. It used to be legal to eat passenger pigeons. It used to be legal to eat a lot of stuff, and a lot of those things are extinct. That's why we have laws and regulations.
But what I'm saying, though, the guys
sometimes it's too little, too late. They're working on it. They're working on getting laws and regulations for these trophy catfish.
Well, what's the regulations now?
There aren't any. They do have some in, what's the Ohio River borders, what, West Virginia, Illinois, Ohio. So some of those states, you're only allowed to keep one flathead and one blue over 31 inches or something like that. So no, you cannot commercial fish for catfish there. And so there's no, so they're getting them all from the section of the Ohio River that is in Kentucky. That's where they're getting the majority of them. And go ask those tournament anglers if it's making a difference in the trophy catfishery, because they'll tell you it for sure is. But the problem is it's all anecdotal. They can't. Wow. They're not marine biologists. All they can tell you is what the results of their tournament catches and weights have been.
Well, I won't say his name on here, but a guy told me a couple of years ago, we're talking about catfishing, and I don't know if he's on here or not. I hadn't seen his name pop up. He said, "Wes, I promise you." He said, "Anybody, they're gonna say I'm lying," but he said, "I promise you, there's enough catfish in the Mississippi River alone to sustain that river and every fucking pay pond in America for the next 100 years."
Oh, I 100% agree. We do not have a population problem for catfish.
No, I'm talking about trophy catfish.
There's plenty.
Big catfish. He said trophy catfish. He said there's plenty enough big catfish.
That's the issue.
He said big catfish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the issue. That's where people disagree.
But there again, if it's legal, they're doing it legally. You're not going. What can you do? You're beating a dead dog. People's going to keep doing it. But there again.
But are they doing it legally? Are they transporting these trophy catfish over state lines? And if they are, is that legal?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the laws on catfishing. Is it legal? Can you transport them across state lines?
Does anybody in the comments know? Somebody. Let's see. Laws were changed in blues in our waters. They cut back on how many you could take a day and also limited on size. They did the same thing here. Trout line commercial fishermen instructing the law. They got license and took their friends out. Yeah. Yeah, I think that these trophy guys, they actually are buying these Paylake guys are buying their trophy catfish from the commercial guys, and I only think they're paying about $2 a pound, I think, to get them. And I think they're charging people probably, I don't know, $10, $15 to fish their lakes.
Well, we could look at it like this. So what if we said, hey, no more trophy cat, no more 40, 50-pound catfish can ever be taken out of them in impoundment and put in a Paylake? What about the people that would never get a chance to catch one of those fish? What about them? Did they matter?
They do matter. But however, now we have to go back to the whole, is it decimating the trophy population? Are we going to have trophy catfish for the future? If we are, if it's not making a dent, if it's not doing anything, if it's just these guys, the trophy cat fishermen that are saying that they're reporting less weights and less fish catches every year because of it, if all this anecdotal evidence is just mythical, something, maybe it's climate change, maybe it's something else making it happen. If it has no bearing, then yeah, 100% agree with you.
Well, but there again, is it all, if the population's dropping like they say it is it all really just because they're putting some trophy fish and pay ponds, or could they be doing other things with these fish, like selling them to meat markets?
Commercial fishermen do, but those are the smaller fish that get sold to the meat markets. I think all of your trophies are getting sold to Trophy Paylakes.
Bobby Grinder says, I'm a tournament guy from Southern Indiana fishing the Ohio, and you can see the difference every year.
Yeah, I think most of your tournament guys are on the same page with Bobby. I do know that it is illegal to catch a trophy catfish and sell it with a recreational license. You have to have a commercial license to do that.
But catfish, they grow pretty fast though. I know they don't. They grow a hell of a lot faster than
no. You're looking at 20 years to get 50 pounds.
Hell, a striper's almost 30 years.
Well, maybe not in Tennessee. Tennessee's pretty rich. They got a lot of food in Tennessee. They grow pretty quick. I don't know.
Now, what about the jug fishermen? I know people like to put out jugs and stuff. Do they what about, I know every now and then they've got to get big fish on them jugs. You reckon they release them?
No, I mean, yeah, you got a lot of recreational fishermen that are meat fishermen that jug fish, they limb line. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not taking 15,000 pounds per pay pond per annual year of trophy catfish with their jug.
How do you know? Where's the statistics at that each pay pond getting 15,000?
The article I read was done by N Fisherman. I'm not sure if they actually did it or if they just edited an article done by an independent. I don't know.
What if one pay pond is a 2-acre pond and another one's a half-acre pond? The half-acre pond, surely to God, can't be putting 15,000 pounds of catfish in there yet.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it was Paradise that they were referring to, and they have 4 ponds on 25 acres. As far as the acreage of each pond individually, I don't know, but the guy said that he was putting 15,000 pounds a year per pond of trophy catfish.
Scott Perry, this is for you. You see that? You know what that comment you just made, that's for you. I love you, but that's for you.
Cumberland River striper grow to legal catching length of 15 inches in a year after stocking per TWRA. Yeah, they grow pretty quick that first year. And then it's like only like an inch or a couple inches a year after that or something like that.
The best thing I can say about a catfish, I love to eat them. But like I said, it opened me up to fishing, period. I remember the first big catfish I caught, like I said, was at Gross's Pay, and it was a pay pond. If that fish hadn't have been there, I may not, I don't know, hindsight's 2020. I may not have never took up fishing.
Well, did you clean that fish?
Huh?
Did you clean that fish that you said tasted bad?
No, I let it go.
Oh, I thought you said you ate it and it tasted bad.
No.
Oh,
I let it go.
Where did I get that at?
So I was 12 years old. And my daddy done told me, he said, if you're not going to clean them fish, don't bring them here. That was back in the day, the first catfish I ever cleaned. My daddy had a big old piece of plywood and some 16-penny nails. He'd drive a nail in his head and then take pliers and skin them back. It wasn't a fillet and throw half of it away, but I wasn't interested in cleaning a fish that big at the time. I was just excited. But me and Michael Hanks was talking today, and I used to watch OJ. I've watched OJ clean 30 and 40 pound fish down at Hills Landing.
I saw a video of him doing that. You videoed, yeah.
Yeah. If you cut that lateral line out of that fish and get the red out of him, where you ain't got nothing but white meat, I don't care what anybody says because I did this. You can't tell the difference between a 30-pound fish and a 5-pound fish. If you cut that lateral line out of them,
I 100% agree.
White meat. People say, "Oh, them big fish ain't worth."
People say that the big fish aren't because they don't get all that red out, and the smaller ones have less of the red in it. So that's where that comes from. Yeah.
So,
they have they got tournament circuits in these things. I wonder if these Paylake guys are actually like buying the jerseys with all the sponsors and everything on them, like the other guys are, the CPR guys.
Oh, I thought I was somebody when I bought my first fishing jersey.
Man, could you imagine if one of these guys that fish?
Go ahead.
Could you imagine if one of these guys that fish real tournaments actually got on the Paylake tournament circuit, man, they would own them dudes, man. It'd be like Michael Jordan playing a bunch of like middle-aged softball guys or something. They'd run the table.
Hey, I don't know if y'all can see this. I thought I was somebody.
Rose Striper. What does it say at the bottom?
Paylakes Outdoors.
Oh, Paylakes, yeah.
And that's when I had a sea hunt boat. That was 4 boats ago.
I remember that. Team Big Judy.
Yeah. And you see that name right there?
Abu Garcia. Lose. Wesley Rose.
Listen, I thought I was somebody when I wore that. Listen, I'd have worn this so much to church if I was going to church.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if the trophy catfish, once they get put in the pay, like, you know how carp, when you go carp, I've only been carp fishing a couple times with my friends. I don't think I've ever actually like did it myself. I was with someone, but I've always heard that the carp, they get caught so many times that like they get smart, you know, and that's why you have to like use like all these different concoctions of baits, and you know they're smart. So I wonder if the catfish are like that. I wonder, like, after they've been caught a couple of times in Paylakes, I wonder if they like, you know, get. And what are they fishing? Are they using like carp bait or?
When I caught fish, we used to use cotton dough. We'd make pack bait with grit.
No, I mean with the catfish, the Paylake for catfish Paylakes. Are they using like cut bait and stuff, or are they using like carp? Because I do know a friend of mine that we got a trophy Paylake right up the road here, Robinson's, and a friend of mine caught a like 45-pound flathead on carp bait, like, you know, the pack bait.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, you know, once they're in a carp lake for so long, you know, I guess they're like, hey, if all I got to eat is this corn pop and this oatmeal and flaxseed, whatever it is they're using, I guess they're like, hey, I'll eat it, whatever.
My catfish, I caught him on a night crawler. That was back when I used to buy the number 6 eagle claw hooks that already had the leader on it and the little loop on the end.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people start out on those.
You just tied into your loop and put a split shot on it, had a pair of pliers.
Yes, sir.
And had that little thing on the back so you could take them on and off.
Yep.
Good old days.
Let's see. Ohio River borders states Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana. Allow commercial fishermen, and it's not allowed in Ohio or West Virginia. Kentucky has the largest section of the river, sharing a border with all of those states.
Well, let me ask you this, James. Is the Mississippi and the James River comparison to far as big fish, or would you say the James River is a better place to catfish for big catfish?
Me?
Yeah, Mississippi or the James?
You said James. I'm going to go with most definitely the James River.
Really?
Yeah, you're not going to get a better trophy catfishery in the United States. We got the best trophy catfishery in the United States, just right up the road from James River, just a few hours up there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was.
I mean, you got Wheeler in Alabama. You know, there are some. You got Zach Royce catching 2 state records in like a day up in Lake Gaston, you know, in North Carolina, Virginia, up there. You know, Bugs Island. There's a lot of really good reservoirs for trophy catfishing, but
I tagged Zach Royce in a post last night and never got no response.
Yeah, I mean, those guys. I mean, you got to think Zach is like he's a superstar in the fishing industry, in the catfishing industry. So I mean, he gets bombarded. He probably gets 100 DMs a day. So he probably yours just got put in the spam folder with, you know, the 1,000 other ones.
Just trying to mess with him, but you know, I noticed he uses. You know, we're talking about, you know, the difference in catfish and fighting, and
yeah,
I noticed he uses and I bought 6 of them. I had 6 of them. Ambassador Pro Rocket 6500 Black Editions. I've seen all them big fish he's caught on. I think he caught a state record on one of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong about that, but I know he uses those reels. I've seen him catch a lot of big catfish on them. Huge catfish. The first striper I hooked up on Tennessee with one of them reels, smoked the shit out of it, burned every damn gear up in it. Left it grinding.
Mm-hmm.
So That's why I tagged him in that post. But of course, like you said, he's tagged 100 times a day. But I was like, Zach, I said, what's up with that? You caught all these trophy catfish on that reel. And I said, I'll hook up with one striper in Tennessee and it strips the shit out of it.
Here's the thing in a nutshell right here. When it comes to the whole trophy versus Paylake debate, if you cannot prove that there's a biological problem, then you cannot push for regulation
or legislation on it.
You cannot push for regulations if it's not creating a biological problem for the ecosystem ecologically. You're not going to be able to push for, because they're not going to destroy 200 however many commercial fishermen there are that sell fish to these trophy Paylakes livelihoods over someone's opinion. So there's got to be some evidence, scientific evidence because the thing is, if we need catfish in our ecosystem, if catfish are keeping, whatever, if they're help keeping the Asian carp under control, if they're help keep any other organisms, I don't know, crustaceans or mollusk, whatever, if they're helping keep, and if you were to take the catfish out of the ecosystem and it could create an imbalance. I remember few years ago, you might remember this. There was I think it was Virginia Beach, Chesapeake Bay, maybe. There was like 1 million skates. Like they said, you couldn't even walk on the beach. The damn beach was the surf was just covered in skates. Like you could walk on their backs.
Yeah.
Come to find out, they harvested too many. They over harvested the hammerhead sharks that year. That was their primary forage. So it threw everything off, and throwing things off can be detrimental to us humans, in the animal kingdom. So my point is, if all you need is catfish, because a trophy catfish isn't gonna, like, as far as the ecosystem is concerned, it's not going to do anything differently than just a regular small catfish. So that's the argument that you're going to run. That's the problem you're going to run into for the recreational guys that are trying to put regulations on this, is there's no biological reason to worry about it. Well, but the thing is, though, which brings more money to the economy? Which brings trophy recreational catfishing or Paylake trophy catfishing?
Probably Paylakes.
What? Paylakes represent maybe not even 1% of fishermen, of catfish.
I was just kidding, JR. Oh God. Lord have mercy. Boy, y'all catfish.
I'm not even I don't even feel like I'm even touchy on this subject, but apparently I must be a little bit. I must love some catfish.
Hey, like I said, everybody likes what they like. Just like, I made that post last night. I like to stir the pot. I just don't see, what all the hype is about reeling in a catfish. It got over 100 comments.
Well, you know what? I know a guy.
I could put a picture of my beautiful granddaughter up there, and it might get 3 or 4 comments, but y'all fools will comment 100 fucking times on a slimy ass fish.
Well, some of us, that's why we have Facebook. You'll notice I don't put any family, nothing. My Facebook is for fishing. That's it. So that might be one of the reasons for that.
Corey Sharp wants to know if Joe Biden's a catfisherman. I would say if Joe Biden fished, he would be a catfisherman. Man,
fuck Joe Biden.
Or a carp fisherman.
It's funny, man. A lot of people are like, let's go Brandon. They don't know it's let's go Brandon. They don't know what it really means. I think everybody says fuck Joe Biden. Don't nobody fucking like Joe Biden. The fuck? Nobody.
Hey, Jason Penley said, where's Dieter when you need him, JR? Hey, what's Dieter's take on the PayPal?
I have no idea. He's got a video on YouTube. I watched it whenever he uploaded it 2 years ago, but I don't remember. You know what? I'm sure he is, way more educated on it than I am.
Well, like I said, if you want to stir the pot on Facebook, just say something negative about what a man likes or what he loves, and that's all you got to do. Chris Hovis told me that.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Perry's another one. Scott Perry will start shit on Facebook and then not make another comment on it, won't you, Scott?
You know, this is it sounds like a simple issue, but it's complex. There's a lot of variables.
But you know, like you said, until there's some kind of science behind it, let me ask you a question. Is anybody even trying to study that other than the Chinese? I mean, seriously.
There was supposed to have been some tests done. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really do a deep dive. You know, I Googled and like I didn't see anything on like the first half of the first page. But evidently there's not, because I mean, there was a guy that posted something today on Facebook. As a matter of fact, it's the reason we're doing this show. And his response to, I mean, you could give him like a paragraph, and his response was, "There's no studies done."
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't believe you. No, there's no studies done.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I mean, there again, if they haven't proved nothing, maybe you think maybe it's just because the catfish guys just want more fish for them to catch that fish the big lakes, because they're going to say that it's hurting the fish, or it's
you know,
down in numbers. I mean, I don't know.
If you ever watch Wicked Tuna?
Yeah, I used to, but it's TV.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they definitely, dramatize it for television. But if you watch that show, I mean, those guys, yes, it's their livelihood, but they have a relationship with that fish, just like you do with striper. And I think a lot of these tournament guys, they love the giant trophy, blue catfish and the giant flatheads. They love them, and it just seems like I believe that it just seems like common sense to most people. They're like, hey, if you're taking them out of the habitat of the wild and you're putting them you're killing them.
Yeah,
you're putting them in a little mud puddle. I mean, these fish are complex. These fish are majestic. These fish are beautiful. These fish are. It takes them 20 years.
I don't know about beautiful.
20 years to get this size. They have like all the seasonal patterns. There's so much to a catfish, and these guys are just taking them out by the thousands, putting them over here in this mud hole to live for a few months, just so they can make $1. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit. They're like, fuck it, let them die. Hey, if I'm 54 years old, if I could get another 10 years out of it, I'll be happy. That's all they fucking care. It's all about money, and nobody can tell me otherwise. It's all about they're selling their soul for money. They know it's wrong. Trophy Paylake cat fishermen know that it's wrong, unless they're just some fun dumb motherfucker. They fucking know that shit is wrong.
Get them,
it's fucking stupid. Some motherfuckers are stupid.
Damn. Well, like I said, if it's legal, they're going to keep on doing it, and if it's not legal, they're still going to break the law and do it.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, it'll be a whole lot less though, won't it?
Yeah.
I mean, robbing banks is illegal. People still do it, but god dang, they ain't doing that shit every fucking day.
Well, I don't know. South Carolina, we get banks robbed about every day, depending on what county you in.
Yeah.
Did they put a regulation on? They finally, it's maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. They finally put a limit on catfish on Santee, or size limit, and I think it was 2. It was 2 fish, and I forgot. Like I said, I don't catfish no more. I forgot the sizes, and then they said that they could actually see 5 years later that was already making a difference when they changed those size limits on Santee, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah, they did it on Wiley. They made it to where you can only have one fish over 30 some inches, and that's why the tournaments, are only keeping 2 fish, because you're only allowed to have one. You can't even weigh in 2 trophy fish in a tournament. That's good. I love that. I love it. I think weighing in like some of these tournaments to weigh in 5 fish, that's ridiculous.
But they say now catfish, we talk about how hard they are to kill, but I remember as a kid, I'd bring him some bitches home on a stringer, 15 or 20 of them. By the time I got home,
Eaters.
hey, they're still living. I'm talking about hours out of the water.
Like you couldn't release them and they live. That was like their air bladders, the way their air bladders are designed that makes their like gills. They did.
But a big fish. So, but you're saying the bigger catfish will die a whole lot quicker than the teenage catfish. Are they more?
Yeah, I mean that's in any. I would dare say that's probably in any fish. You know, smaller fish don't require as much dissolved oxygen. So
yeah. Mike Bradford said you got anger issues, JR.
Oh, I definitely have anger issues. Goddamn right I do. I mean, yeah, anybody that knows me knows that. I try to be kind.
I don't have anger issues no more. I'm good.
I try to be a kind person. I'm a kind person for the most part. But yeah, I got a temper. I definitely have a temper.
Well, JR, I'll agree with you about a few things on them catfish, but brother, a catfish is fucking anything but beautiful. I'm sorry.
I mean, you ever caught a flathead that is on a that's predominant habitat is riprap? It'll have this like black camouflage almost on it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
A flathead? Hell, I'd rather look at a blue one than I had a flathead.
Beauty's in the eyes of the beholder, Wes.
Dude, a striped bass did you know a striped bass has 26 different colors?
Yeah, it looks like somebody spilled motor oil on it. Yeah.
Yeah, you wish. A mounted striped bass is one of the prettiest fish in the water.
Yeah, you know how motor oil, when it rains on the road, how it gets that rainbow sheen on it? That's what they look like.
No, not hardly, brother.
No, I know. I like the purple and the blue. Yeah, I know. I was a striper fisherman. I know. I love all that. I love eating them too. I like taking that medallion off the side of their head right here. I like getting that. It's about the size of a 50-cent piece on a trophy striper.
Yeah.
Boy, that is the filet mignon right there.
Thomas Walker says, yes, only 2 fish larger than 32 inches per person may be taken. A 25 limit that used to be 50, and it is statewide in South Carolina. Yeah, I knew they had changed something down there. And I heard that you could already tell, the catfishery, when they changed that it's already coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott Perry wants to know, how do you get the slime and stuff off your leader? And
all fish have slime.
Huh?
All fish have slime. And just leave it on there. Don't even take it off. Just leave it on there.
Hey,
the problem is, Scott Perry, you leave your fucking line on your reels for 5 fucking years. Who does that? You got monofilament, dude. That shit gets damaged by UV rays.
Hey,
fucking, that's lazy, bro. You gonna complain about fucking slime on a leader on a cat? No, shut up, dude.
I've caught 10 striper before and never had no slime on the line.
Yeah, well, little slime on my line don't fucking bother me. Matter of fact, they got some monofilament named slime line. Hell, I think I'm gonna get some.
Scott Perry said he leaves his line on his reel for 7 years.
Yeah, ain't no fucking way I'd do that shit. Mm-mm.
Thomas Walker said, I fish with eels and I'm complaining about slime line.
Yeah, they some slimy some bitches too. I think what it is the scales kind of break the slime up. Like, I think they're just as slimy as any other. It's just if a striper didn't have scales, it would seem slimy because the scales wouldn't be there to kind of counteract the slime. That makes sense?
Not really, but I'll go with that.
Okay.
I don't want to upset you no more. You're gonna have to take my blood pressure medicine.
No, I ain't mad. My wife and daughter's at the beach. I'm home alone, so
and you ain't drunk yet?
No.
Damn. You will be when the show's over.
Is there a sustainable future? That's the question.
Well, like I said, if it's legal, people's going to push that limit at anything, not just fishing, anything we do. Just like me, I own a heat and air company. I am a licensed contractor in the state of South Carolina. For me to go into somebody's house and work, I have to handle electricity. I have to handle Freon. And I'm licensed. I'm a licensed mechanical contractor. But you got people out here that's coming out here doing jobs behind me or beating me out of jobs, and I also carry liability insurance. But they get a job and they can do it, and they're not pulling permits. They're putting these jobs in without permits, breaking the law. Mm-hmm. That's the law, but they break it anyway. So I mean, there again, it's people's going to do what they're going to do, and at the end of the day, everything in this world, in this life, is about money. Not just fishing, anything. And anybody's going to push everything to the limit. This just happens to be something that we like, and we're passionate about it. My big thing now is these fools up in Tennessee blowing stuff up with videos to get likes on YouTube. But at the end of the day, they're not breaking no laws. They're doing it. So what can you say? You can bitch about it, but you're beating a dead dog.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to see. I want to see it. I want to see a future for trophy catfish. I don't want it to be like halibut, and I don't want it to be about like all these other that are on the brink of extinction because it was too little, too late when it came to regulations and laws.
What about halibut's on the brink of extinction?
Oh, there's halibut's not doing good, bro.
Well, hell, I just ate some this weekend at Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Let's see.
It was on the menu at Chesapeake.
Significant decline in Atlantic halibut due to bottom trawling and blast fishing. Yeah,
well, I just eat a $36 plate of it at Chesapeake.
Was it? Well, that's why it costs so much, because it ain't sustainable.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've had things go extinct because of lack of regulation. What was it called? There's been birds go extinct. There's been fish go extinct. So yeah, I just don't want to see that for trophy catfish. I mean, yeah, the Ohio River and our river, they're big, they're huge, and you would think that they'd be plenty, but they're not as big as the ocean. Look at all the regulations they have on fish in the ocean. Look at the regulations they have on birds in the sky. So it's not all about that. It's somebody needs to prove, like without a shadow of a doubt, that there is a huge industry for recreational trophy catfishing, and prove that it would behoove economically the entire country if we put laws and regulations on it. Fuck those 200 commercial catfishermen and their livelihoods. Fuck them.
Well, look at Santee Cooper. I know for the better part of 45 years, they were raping those lakes with fish. Look, they brought, and the story with Santee was we traded 100,000 striped bass fingerlings to Arkansas for 100,000 blue catfish fingerlings.
Right.
But we did that trade off. That's how blues got in Santee Cooper, for y'all that didn't know. And those fish thrived there for years. 15 years later, 20 years later, they were catching 30 and 40 pound fish in the Santee Cooper lakes. Years after that, those fish just thrived down there. Hell, they were bringing them out by the wheelbarrows down there. And nothing didn't even impact that lake till like 40 something years later. Mm-hmm. There again, just talking about bait in Tennessee. I believe there's probably more white perch in the Santee Cooper lakes than any place in the world.
Loaded with it.
Yeah, it's just, there again, I think a lot of it, JR, is what lakes or what big lakes, what big rivers these fish are in, how much food they have, how much stress they have as to how quick they're going to grow. I don't know what happened to the decline in catfish in Santee, other than the fact that just you had thousands of people coming down there a year catching big fish.
The thing is, though, the whole genetic argument, that is true. I don't have to be a marine biologist to know that that's true. I've caught enough fucking catfish in my life to know that that's fucking, yeah. I've caught 20-pound catfish before with tiny mouths. Those fish weren't going to get any bigger. You could tell they're all grown up. No more. They're not going to become a trophy. You can. They don't have the genetics. You can tell by their head, just like that.
Oh, okay.
That article confirmed. Genes tell you a lot. The Human Genome Project. Genetics is it tells you a lot about anything that has genetics. If the fish doesn't have a big head, it's not going to become a trophy. If you're catching a 10-pound blue catfish and you can barely get your thumb in its mouth, it ain't going to be a trophy catfish, people.
Well, then what makes that fish different from another one? Where did the genetics come in? Did they come from different hatcheries?
No, there's no hatcheries. No, these fish are naturally reproducing.
Okay, so what's causing this?
Just same as humans. Their DNA, their genetics. It's what makes them, what they are.
Yeah.
Just like you have genes. If like my daughter has my eyes. My daughter, luckily looks a lot like her mother, but she comes from my genes.
Yeah.
So you don't want. What's happening is, these little, these guys like Chris Hovis. You don't want a bunch of fucking Chris Hovis catfish. You want some Shane Reel catfish. Fucking hey, dude, give me some. I want some Gladiator fucking catfish. I want some. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, Hovis, are we still watching?
Stop taking all the damn. What's that guy T. Evans? Stop taking all the T. Evans and the Scotts and the fucking Shane Reels out. Fucking start taking the damn Hovises out and the Shane Howingtons. Take them fucking catfish out.
Damn,
fuck those guys. We want them big daddies. We want them big daddies, big mamas. We want them good genes. We want them fat genes. We want them damn corn-fed genes. That's what we want.
Peter Paylake said 10-pound catfish or 70-pound catfish is still like reeling in a wet rag.
It ain't like reeling in no damn wet rag. Y'all damn striper fishermen. I know a trophy striper fisherman has probably caught more than most other trophy striper fishermen. I took that motherfucker fishing. I put him on a 15-pound flathead. You know what he said? He said, I thought that was a striper. He said, I never would have thought a catfish would fight like that. He said, that thing fought harder than a striper. Drew Rankin.
Well,
Drew Rankin, the shark.
He caught one that I've never caught.
Yeah, I got the video on YouTube if you don't believe me. 15-pound stripe, 15-pound flathead. Flatheads eat live fish. Did you know a flathead could outrun a largemouth bass? I don't know if you think about that for a second. A blue catfish can outrun a largemouth bass. Okay, just think about that for a second. You have fought largemouth, so basically, you can measure how good a fish fights by how fast it can move its tail. It ain't got arms. It ain't out there, it ain't out there throwing punches and, trying to swim and tread water and trying to keep. All it's got's a tail. What are they swimming with? Their tail. And so if a catfish is faster, than a largemouth, imagine what a 20-pound largemouth would feel like. Imagine what a 30, a 40, a 50-pound largemouth would feel like.
Like a 50-pound striper.
No.
Yeah.
Like a catfish. If a catfish can outrun a largemouth bass, it ain't no wet towel.
Here's something for you to get mad about. You can start cussing on this one. I'll put any paycheck I make the next month up against one of yours. If we can do it, and I can't, but I'm just talking shit. A goddamn 20-pound striper will pull a fucking 30-pound catfish backwards. He'll pull him fucking backwards and drown his ass, just like you had him by the tail, pulling him backwards and drowned him.
Yeah.
Now, for how long?
He would. I don't know. Yeah, he would for about 5 seconds.
No, a little bit longer than 5 seconds, brother.
Yeah, that'd be over then.
5 seconds. He's already drowned. But see, he's drowned him, so there's no fight left in the catfish while he's trying to get his breath.
You ain't gonna drown. You know how that. Listen, when you're releasing a striper, you have to hold him by the tail. You have to be real easy with him. You're not even supposed to pull him back and forth like they do. That's like the old way that somebody thought was good. They thought it was getting water through
They're
the gills.
drowning the fish.
The gills aren't designed for water to be going backwards through their gills. So you're killing the fish. You're killing them. Exactly. Yeah, cat. You ain't got to worry about that with a damn catfish, man. Yeah, you could. They live in a mud hole for 6 months before they die. You think pulling them backwards for a minute is going to hurt them?
Well, I'm saying they should be a lot more sustainable than what they are, shouldn't they? If they're so hard to kill. No,
just because they're hardy does not mean they can live in a mud hole. Yeah, they live in these mud holes not long at all.
Now you're saying mud hole. Gross's fishing lake was almost 3 acres.
3 acres?
That's a lot of water.
Oh my God! Dude, you know how big? Do you know how many acres? I don't know, Lake Russell is or Lake Harwood.
But I'm saying though, 3 acres for a catfish, that's a lot of water, ain't it?
No, it's not on a river. It's a hole dug with water poured in it. It's not on anything. There's no oxygen in that water. That's fucking shit. That's like sewage water.
No, a lot of those. Hey, I know some pay ponds that's actually spring fed.
Yeah, well, they might do a little better to spring fed. Still, not enough dissolved oxygen for a fish of that caliber. That's why they don't live. You can just Google trophy catfish, dead trophy Paylake catfish.
Yeah,
dude, they got hoppers and dumpsters like dedicated to nothing but throwing the fish away. It's just hoppers just full of trophy catfish.
Daryl Barney says every lake and pond and river in America has slime balls. They are really sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, everything is sustainable until you take it out of the water and kill it. Daryl,
get them, boys. Sick them, JR.
I mean, everything is sustainable. Hell, I'm pretty fucking sustainable, but if you put a fucking 12 gauge to my head, I'm not going to be too sustainable. So that's exactly what they're doing.
Thomas Walker says flatheads are beast. Best fight on all lakes here in South Carolina. Facts. No, buddy, that's not a fact. Sorry.
What did he say? Flatheads are beast. They are beast.
Yeah, they're a beast, but they're not. Listen, buddy, I'll get it.
They're not so much better than striper or different than striper. They feed on live bait, Wes. They're eating live fish.
There's not a catfish out there hits and pulls like a striped bass. I'm not saying a catfish at the end of the day, a catfish has got more stamina. But that first 2 or 3 minutes, if you don't turn a striper's head, you will get your ass smoked.
I agree.
And I've never had a catfish to do me like that. I caught an 81-pound blue one. It's like really in a goddamn wet towel.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. You do get more of that, heart racing kind of, almost like it kind of scares you a little bit when a trophy striper hits. Like you do get a little more of that feeling than you do with a trophy cat.
And I guess that's what I like about. I like that hit, the drag, feeling, screaming, and that's.
I love that, and I would be a trophy striper fisherman if it were more sustainable for me. That lifestyle and that hobby, it just isn't very sustainable for me. I got to fish more than that. I love trophy catfish, and I fish a couple days a week, and I can't fish a couple days a week.
Well, JR, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't gonna tell you this. I was gonna let them tell you, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you on the show. Now, don't get all excited, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know people's gonna talk shit about me, but I'm gonna do this. You went striper fishing with me about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
You even come to the Chesapeake Bay with me. You come on a cobia trip with me. You fished in Tennessee with me 2 or 3 times. So this year we are going to go to the James River.
No, wait a minute, Wes. I don't think have I fished in Tennessee with you?
Yes, you have.
When? I don't think I fished in Tennessee with you.
You don't remember we all went to Chilhowie?
Well, I wasn't. Well, yeah, I was on another boat though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so you kind of if you want to fill that void, you can. So, but yeah, man, I would love to go to the James River.
We'll take my boat and go to the James River.
Let's do it, man. Yes. I'm not focused. There we go. Let's do it. That's exciting. That's that might convert you to a trophy catfisherman if we do that.
I've already caught trophy catfish. Honestly, buddy,
20 years ago don't count, Wes.
Listen,
20 years ago when you didn't even really give a shit about fishing doesn't count.
Hey, I was catfishing Santee Cooper Lake 7-8 years ago with Darren Hill, Michael Hanks, and all of them.
Yeah, but you kind of didn't really give a shit. You was not hardcore like you are right now.
But seriously, JR, I've caught a lot of catfish, buddy, and people can say what they want to. And there again, it's opinion. I've caught both.
I want to see you catch one of these, man. I want to see you catch one of these bad boys that you can't even the ones that you got to put on you. You got to put it on your shoulder. That's what I want to see you catch.
Well, then it's like reeling in a bucket with water in it.
All right, motherfucker. Don't be asking me for help when you're reeling in that 90 on the James River and you're like, oh God, I need a break, Joe. My arm's hurt. Don't even try that mess. You better get
Thomas
that fish
Walker.
in.
Thomas said, go to the ocean. Well, Thomas, I'll be honest with you. That 52-pound striper I caught in Tennessee 2 years ago had a lot more heart than any of those fish I caught in Chesapeake Bay. Run faster, hit harder. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think they're a little deeper, and you're kind of whipping their ass with the boat in Chesapeake Bay. You got the tide, you got the boat.
Well, the big thing up there, like you said there, Gerald, we're catching those fish, 40, 50 foot deep of water.
Yeah, they're deep.
Those fish can dive down.
And,
when you're catching them in 6 or 8 foot of water.
And I think that is the problem you got with the catfish that you've caught that you say is a wet towel. Wait till you catch a 50 plus in 6 feet of water, 3 feet of water. And the only way he's got to run is out. That's when you get to experience that drag screaming.
Well, I'm serious, buddy. We will go to the James River this summer. We'll take my boat and
my buddy. I call him my buddy. I caught one of my 63-pound cat. I caught a couple 62, one of 65. Anyways, it was one of them 60+ pound catfish I caught on Lake Wiley. I had the camera rolling and I got him. It got hung up in my anchor rope, and there was a boat over there. So I yelled at him, because they had already hollered at me one time. So I got hung up an anchor rope, and I know what it was. They yelled at me and said, "Did you get him?" Because they heard the drag going off. They were 100 yards from me and heard the drag screaming. And they asked me, "Did I get him?" And I was like, "Well, I'm trying. He's got me in the anchor rope." I said, "Y'all want to come give me a hand?" So they come over and hopped on the boat, gave me a hand, helped me land that fish. And it was one of those guys. I actually saw him the other day while I was fishing at the dam. He actually had his boat up at this dam that I would not take my boat to. But he went to the James River this past weekend and caught a handful of fish. Biggest one was 63 pounds. Oh, it's a monster. It's so beautiful.
What do they use for bait up there?
Well, you can use anything. Probably the best tactic is to put out a gill net and catch Mongo gizzard shad. But you could I think you could use skipjack.
No, them fish up there, will they get in that brackish water?
Yes, they will. As a matter of fact, that's one of the arguments that the trophy catfish lakes have, is that they'll say, well, they're an invasive species. Some areas tell you to kill them if you catch them. They're talking about the Chesapeake Bay where they've stopped them in the James River, and they've actually come down and they're actually going full on saltwater. That's crazy. Apparently, a catfish can handle a lot more salinity than was previously thought, because they're going down there and they're eating shit, man. They're eating machines. So they're
think about this though. A striper can handle. You know what's crazy about a striper? You can take a striper out of fresh water and dump him in the ocean, and he would thrive. You could take him right out of the ocean and dump him in fresh water. He wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, that's called being anadromous. Salmon are like that. They
Really?
saltwater species, but they go up into freshwater to spawn.
Come here, bud. Yeah.
See if I can find this.
Look at my hot ass wife.
Oh, hang on. I'm on another page right now. All right.
Turn around,
Hey,
baby.
there she is.
Show me your
Hey.
hard shirt.
Hey, Lori.
Hi, how y'all doing?
All right. Let me see if I can get this picture on here right quick. This was just caught the other day.
Scott Perry says, "Show me some boobies." Dang.
Scott's so used to everybody asking to see his wife's titties. I guess he jumps at the opportunity to ask someone else.
Damn. Uh-oh, here's Dieter. There we go. Now we got a show.
Here we go.
Dieter.
There you go. There you go. That's 63 pounds, Wes. I hear you. Wet towel. We'll see if you see wet towel. We'll see if you say wet towel when you. That's on the James River right there. That's just the other day.
I'll break that fish's back with one of them Daiwa salted.
Man. All right, we're going to see.
Hey, Dieter, while you're on here, we were talking, this whole show's basically been about taking trophy catfish out of big lakes, big rivers, and putting them in pay ponds. And somebody wanted to know where you were when JR really needed you. Well, I would say he needs you now, because my theory is if you don't put big fish in pay lakes, a lot of people can't afford to go. A lot of people don't have a boat. They can't afford to go to rivers. They can't afford to go to places like Hartwell, Russell, whatever. They're really limited to where they can fish. So with that being said, they have a chance to experience catching a big fish in a pay lake, like some of us guys have a chance or experience catching a big fish off of a boat, because we can go fishing anywhere we want to.
Yeah. Well,
so at the end of the day, everybody was wondering what your opinion on this, Dieter Melhorn.
Let's start a trophy bluefin tuna pay lake.
Dieter Melhorn said Scott has a wife. I didn't know he just has a hot ass boat. That's all I know.
Yeah, you're right. It's legal. It's perfectly legal, Dieter. So yeah, not much we can say, you know. But hey, didn't you guys, when you were with the Southeastern, did y'all not like? I guess it was the Southeastern. I don't know. Did y'all not like push for some kind of legislation for a while? Didn't y'all get something changed? So
now Brian Snipes is over the Southeastern Conference now, isn't he?
He is, but my thing is though, I don't know, but my thing is, like, how can you prove that it's detrimental to the ecology of the eco, the biologically, you can't. Trophy catfish aren't really doing anything differently than regular sized catfish. So how can you make laws and regulation for something that's not affecting the ecosystem, at all?
Why, JR, what if they did something like this? And there again, we're just talking opinions. What if they did it where each pay lake was allowed 10 trophy catfish a year or 20 a year? That would still give people, you know what I'm saying? Then there would be something. So
right. Yes, a quota. A quota.
We do have, and then the pay pot, as long as they're living,
like, instead of
keep this fish, it has to be returned.
Like now they're putting like 100,000 pounds a year into their friggin' pay lakes. Like, let's limit them. Let's say that per commercial fishing license, you're only allowed to keep 10,000 pounds of fish over, I don't know, 30 inches.
Yeah.
Well, you know how that would be. I don't think they'll ever make a law like that. Matthew Miles says, if the Paylakers would stop spending all their money on meth, they could afford a boat.
Shut up, honky.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a statement from a guy that would try to market a product with political politically.
Uh-oh, here we go. Fuck Joe Biden.
Fuck Joe Biden. I think everybody, even all the liberals agree with you on that. Even all the liberals agree with you on that. Everybody says fuck Joe Biden. Come on.
Dinger's saying fisheries management is about sustainability of the fish, not raising trophy fish to any
species, right?
Yeah, too many people are focused on their wants and fail to take into consideration the other stakeholders. Fail to take into consideration other stakeholders.
And I'm assuming that the other stakeholders, he's talking about the Trophy Paylake fisherman industry, and I mean, yeah, it's exactly what I was saying. They're about the sustainability of the fishery, and the catfish are thriving. We don't have a problem with catfish population. We have a problem with people taking trophy catfish out, and even if you could prove, I think it's already actually proven. I think the data is already actually out there that genetics, like that's a real thing. Like the genetics make a difference. That's all catfish don't have the genetics.
Thomas made a statement on here.
But I don't even think that matters.
Well, Thomas made a statement on here. And let me ask you this. What's up, James Long? Hope you're feeling better, buddy. Okay, he was talking about, they're taking all these big fish and they're breeding fish. Mm-hmm. What size is a good breeding fish? What is considered a good breeding catfish?
I don't know. I think the bigger the fish, the more eggs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bigger the fish, the more eggs. So, not only if is that fish passing on its genetics, but it's also, it's just passing on more fish. Period.
Now, is the white catfish, is that something that happens in genetics? They're not. Have you ever heard of a white catfish?
Yes, white catfish. Yeah, they're like a channel cat.
So is that just like something in cross where something just got kind of messed up with their genes? Is that genetic?
No. They're their own species. White catfish is their own, just like blue and flathead are their own. But I don't know. They may be in the same family.
Yeah.
But there's catfish have like 300 some odd species of catfish. So there's so many different ones, more than any other fish, I think. Stakeholders equals bass fishermen, legal paylakes, crappie fishermen, commercial fishermen. They all have a place and stake in our fisheries. Yes. But the thing is, they're not taking trophy crappie out to put in trophy crappie lakes, trophy bass to put in trophy bass lakes, or catfish are the only ones they're doing that with. And I mean, can money be a driving issue? Dieter, you probably know the answer to this. Can money? I mean, look at the money that the trophy catfish industry is generating. I mean, we're generating a lot of money, economically. The Paylake industry, the Trophy Paylake catfish industry, is not generating nowhere near the amount of money that we're generating.
Well, maybe that's because there's a lot of big catfish still. Wouldn't you say? I mean, if there would there still be this many people chasing?
Tell the guys that are fishing the Ohio River in Ohio that, because they're definitely not seeing it. They're seeing their trophy catfish being depleted. Their catches and their boat weights are decreasing. They're catching like 20 pounds is like winning their tournaments. It used to be like you had to have 100 pounds to be even have a chance at the money. Now it's 20. It's like the walleye weigh in or something.
Daryl Barney wants to know. He said, "JR, carp have feelings too. Why aren't you standing behind?"
I mean, yeah, carp. Hey, that's a reason we need a trophy catfish is to eat them damn carp. There ain't no damn 5-pound catfish going to eat a 2-pound carp. We need trophy catfish for that. So there you go. That's got you're screwing up the damn ecosystem, Paylake cat fisheries, your industry. Leave those trophy catfish in there. Let them eat those 2 and 3 pound, 5 pound, 10 pound friggin' Asian carp. There's a reason that's an ecological reason.
I think what Dieter's talking about crappie. If I'm not mistaken, I think crappie is one of the fastest growing fish in freshwater, aren't they?
Yeah, crappie live because they only live like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, so they can take a lake. They can take over a lake in a matter of months.
They are
literally.
They are. They can sustain it. And, you know, there's put and take fish. Hybrids are put and take fish. Stripers are put and take fish.
I wish, but you know, they don't stock striper. I don't think they stock as many stripers as they do catfish, do they?
Yeah, I know you're kidding on that statement.
No, I don't think they do they?
Oh, yes, they definitely stock way more striper. You know, Lake Murray, for example, stocks at least 1 million to 2 million fingerlings a year. Lake Norman, biggest fish in North Carolina, they're stocking 330,000 fingerlings a year. All your South Carolina lakes are stocking 500,000 a year at least in their lakes. Yeah, they're not stocking fucking that many catfish. No. Bow fishing, bow fishermen. The thing about bow fishermen is, they're extremely unethical. They're killing fish, throwing them in a ditch, they're throwing them in hoppers. You know, it wouldn't be quite as bad if they were like giving them to like be made like dog food out of or cat food out of or like something. But yeah, they're but the good news is like bow fishermen only make up an extremely small percentage of fishermen. So. Catfish are not stocked. They're all self-sustaining resources.
Did you see what Alan Oliver said? And that's your best friend, JR. I'm with you, Alan.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have stocked catfish though, blue catfish in some reservoirs. It's like whether or not they do it annually, I don't know.
Well, they stock pay ponds with trophy catfish, don't they?
Yeah, they do that. They sure do.
Damn. Well, like I said, I will say this. If I had to choose, if it's any consolation, I'd rather catch a damn catfish than I had a damn largemouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Largemouth make good bait. Well, I don't really like to use it, but I will use it.
Have y'all noticed something for everybody that's still watching? We got 22 people now, what I'm showing. When we're talking about striper, JR's trying to get off this motherfucker about 5 minutes till. And he's ready to go at 9 o'clock. It's over. We've been on here now for an hour, 27 minutes, and 42 seconds exactly. And he ain't said one damn word about wanting to get off because we're talking about catfish. I believe you're a little bit biased, ain't you, JR?
I am biased. Mm-hmm. See how easy that was to admit? Matthew?
Scott Perry says stripers are the alpha of fish, but catfish lives matter too. Damn. Dieter says bow fishing is for millennial chest thumpers needing something to do before the next season of Buck Commander comes on in the fall. Damn.
Alan said a couple cans of Alpo. That's that Lake Wiley shit right there, Alan. I've actually done that, Alan.
Peter Malik said the wet rag, the wet dish rag comments the one that really got you fired up a while back, JR. What do you think about that?
I don't think that was what got me fired up. I think I'm thinking about all these Trophy Paylake guys trying to justify what they're doing. Like they don't know that it's detrimental to the future of trophy catfishing. Like you can't not know that. It just seems it's so black and white to me. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. It's common sense. You know, and they're looking for us to show them like these scientific comprehensive studies by marine biologists. I don't need a marine biologist to fucking tell me that what they're doing is detrimental to trophy catfishing. I don't, and them trying to justify it kind of pisses me off. I just wish they'd own it. Just own it. Okay, what we're doing is unethical, but hey, you know what? It's how I make my living, and I don't know how to do nothing else. So I'm just gonna keep doing this, and fuck y'all. You know, that'd be fine. I mean, at least I would, you know who you're dealing with. When you're getting these guys that are like, well, no, you can't prove it. You can't really prove. I mean, no. You're just you're in denial and you're trying to justify what you're doing because you know it's wrong. Yeah, they see the resources as endless. While it's not, I'm curious about their impact is. You're curious about what the impact of them taking the trophy catfish from the rivers and lakes are? I mean, I think you can already see an impact in some places, I'm sure.
Dieter said the Paylake folks see the resource as endless. While it's not, I'm curious what their impact really is, or what their impact is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of like climate change deniers. What brand rods do you think Paylakers are using? That's a good question, Matthew. I'm going to say like probably your more mainstream, like Akumas, not ripping lips, but
Catch the fever.
What's the silver cat or whatever rod? Like rods like that. I doubt very seriously they're using your smaller companies like Catch the Fever and the companies that really like are promoting catch and release. But they could be. I mean, hell, Mad Cats. I don't know. Mad Cats probably is. They're kind of the trailer trash of the new catfish rod world.
They're what, JR?
They're the trailer trash of.
You don't like Mad Cats?
No, I do. I like Mad Cats. That's just playful, poking, just camaraderie. It's just poking fun. I mean, I'm a big Cat Fever guy. So anybody that's your monster rods, your slime cat rods, all the other brands, yeah, I'll make fun of them all day long. Fuck them. There's only one catfish rod out there, and that's Big Cat Fever.
Hey, Shakespeare makes a catfish rod that I'll put up against any Big Cat Fever rod.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do like ugly sticks. Yeah, I do like ugly stick catfish rod. Yeah, I do love them. That's what I had a bunch of them at one time. They're great rods. Well, hey, that's a good point. That's a good point, Dieter. Yeah. Well, at least you have a chance. I mean, if you were a catfish, a trophy catfish, would you rather get pulled out to what is, is going to kill you? You're going to get put in the mud hole, and you know that you're going to be dead in 6 months. Fact. No ifs, ands, or buts. 0% chance of survival. Or would you rather ride around in a live well and have like a 50% chance of survival? So, yeah, one's definitely more ethical if it's a question of ethics. But yeah, I agree. They need to change. These tournaments do need to, they're bitching about, wanting laws and regulations to protect their precious trophy catfish, when they're not doing a really great job of protecting their trophy catfish themselves. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of them do. A lot of these, especially these new $100,000 catfish boats, I'm sure those catfish are probably healthier than they were when you caught them after riding around in the live well all day. But some guys, yeah. But you're seeing it headed in the right direction. You're seeing guys that are, a lot of tournaments are just measuring fish, taking a picture, whatever. I can see it going to that.
Peter said, really, all you need is a Walmart rod to drag in one of those wet dish rags.
All you need is a cheap Walmart rod to drag. Peter, I haven't seen a picture of you holding a 50+ pound blue. Show me a picture of you holding a 50-pound blue, and your comments like that will have a little more merit, more likely.
Alan Oliver said, that's right. Damn, why's Alan giving you a hard time tonight, JR?
They beat the shit out of them. Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm.
But hey, at the end of the day, you like to catch catfish, you like to catch striper. Some people like the crappie fish. Some people like the bass fish. Do what you're going to do. Do what makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, all your fucking opinion is just an opinion.
That's right.
Just like we're talking about tonight. We're on here having a good time talking about fishing, giving us something to do. But at the end of the day, until the laws change, you're going to have the same people with hoop nets and down there catching y'all's catfish, selling them to Paylakes. We're going to have dumbasses catching 40 and 50 pound striper. Don't even want to mount it. They just want to take the son of a bitch home and show it to their neighbor and then throw it in the fucking backyard. And that's just stupidity. And you're going to have that in JR. That's going to be going on long after me and you're dead and gone.
Yep. Hey, I mean, hey, I'll admit it. I was that guy. I was that guy that would go catch a big fish and ride it around in a cooler on the back of my truck and show it to my buddies. But I mean, the difference was I would eat it, but I'd show it to my buddies before I ate it.
But Scott Perry says, drop them in a Rubbermaid tote with no water and high fives for everyone.
Yeah.
I was gut baiting on Loudon last year or year before last. And I caught a 42, 43, whatever it was. It was a little over 40 pounds. So I was going to be cute. And I put him up on my shoulder. You know how the catfish was like to take the pictures of him on their shoulder. I'll never do that again. I had slime in my fucking ears and running down my neck. But anyway, so I took a picture of it, and T. Evans commented on it. He said, throw his slimy ass on the bank. You ain't got to worry about catching it again. And needless to say, a few people got on there, and that post wound up getting over 300 comments. Just because T. Evans said throw him on the bank, so you don't have to worry about catching him twice.
Oh, yeah. We used to throw, when I was growing up, we used to catch these little fish while we were crappie fishing, and they were bait snatchers. My grandpa told us that they were rock fish, rock bass. He said they're rock bass. They're no good. They got too many bones in them. Throw them up on the bank. Don't throw them back in the water. Throw them up on the bank. They ain't no count. Come to find out, they were yellow perch. Good as hell. Good as hell to eat. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if you take a white perch and fillet them, and you take a crappie and fillet them, you don't tell somebody which one's which, nobody will never know the difference.
I will. White perch are better than crappie in my opinion.
I don't know, boy. Them perch are good too.
That's what I'm saying. White perch are better than crappie.
I don't know about that.
They're in the striper family. They got that kind of a striper texture and everything to them. A white perch isn't even a perch. It's not even in the perch family. They just call it white perch.
Did you know a striper is not even in the bass family?
Yeah, it is.
Striper's in the perch family. Yeah,
it's a true bass. Yeah, it's in the perch family.
Yeah,
or they're the perch, the white perch. No, the bass, the striper's not in the perch family. The white perch is in the Marone family, the striper family. So it's not. That's why I was saying it's not even a perch. Yeah, yellow perch.
No, a largemouth are not in the bass family.
They're not in the bass family. No, they're
a perch. Aren't they in the perch family?
No, largemouth are in the sunfish family.
Sunfish. Y'all aggravated a buddy of mine about that, and I'm like, why in the hell do they even call them a largemouth bass? And they're not even in the damn bass family.
Yeah, fuck a largemouth. Bunch of bassers. Be thankful for any fish. You could have all been born liberals and not understand how to operate a fishing reel.
Daniel Skipper, what are you doing up this late? It's past your bedtime down there in Waterloo. I thought they cut the internet service off in Waterloo at 9 o'clock. What time?
No, Daniel Skipper, I am not a liberal. I got a couple liberal views, but I just seem liberal to a dumbass like you. Like, any fucking moderate around here, if you're at least a little bit fucking moderate, if you're a libertarian, then you might as well be a gay motherfucking tree hugging liberal around here.
Hey, JR.
Yo.
Me and Michael Hanks was talking about something tonight, too. And this is probably going to piss some people off, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
Guides. We're talking about commercial fishermen.
Right.
With all the nets and stuff. Guides are fucking commercial fishermen.
Well, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
No, listen.
Pump
They're
the brakes.
getting paid. They're getting paid to perform a service to catch a fish.
Right.
It's commercialized. It's a business.
Right. Yeah. I agree. But
Fact.
they're not decimating the trophy catfish population.
No. But I'm saying guides in general.
Right. But yeah,
Okay, what about you guys down at Santee Cooper?
now they are, but they're fucking Santee, but that's about it. Like
Yeah. What about the guides on the James?
the majority of your guides on the James, if not all of them, will not let you keep a catfish over 10 or 15 pounds.
But you know what I'm saying, though? At the end of
That's
the day,
why it's so good. That's one of the reasons that contributes to the James River being such a great trophy catfishery.
you know, people say not, and I know, and there again, I know Hartwell had some major fish kills, but you can't tell me all those guides on Hartwell did not hurt that lake. When you at one time, I think you had about 17 or 18 licensed guides on Hartwell. You'd a lot of these guys taking 2 trips a day, and just hypothetically speaking, you got 3 fishermen on a boat plus the guide. In South Carolina, you could keep 10 striper, 10 hybrid, 10 per person. So that's 30 plus the captain's.
Yeah, but who cares? I mean, they're just like disposable. Like hybrids are like big razors. Like,
what I'm saying though, listen to me. I'm talking about hybrid and striper now. Okay. And they make 2 trips a day. There's 160 fish in one day per boat.
Mm-hmm.
You got 80 boats doing that for years and years and years and years and years and years and years.
Well, we got our government
It's commercial fishermen.
Yeah, it is.
It's commercialized.
Yeah.
You know. But are they having this big impact on the fishery as the other?
No, because they're sustainable.
Yeah, but they're not sustainable in Hartwell. Hell, they've killed that fucking lake.
That's not due to like stockings. Like Hartwell has fish kills, right?
Yeah,
because
but Hartwell also
water's not the water quality isn't there.
At one time close to 18. That's 18 licensed guys, not counting the guys that didn't have no fucking license.
Yeah, they also got a lot of pollution. They got a lot of wastewater. They got a lot of fish kills. You know, a lot of it's got to do with the water quality. And it's not all about the sustainability of catch and release.
But there again, at the end of the day, it's all about making that dollar.
Yes, it is. And that's the sad part is that people are.
People's asked me before, I don't think that I'm good enough fisherman to be a guide.
I'm sorry. Matthew Hanks, he said, why aren't catfish sustainable? They are sustainable. They're highly sustainable. What do you mean? Okay, go ahead.
If I just wouldn't want to be a guide. The pressure, it's a job. There's just so much into being a guide. I wouldn't want to do it, but there again, it's a job. They're getting paid to go out and put people on fish. Paylakes are getting paid to have fish in their lakes for people to catch fish. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, though, JR, it's all about money. And, there again, we could talk shit about it all night. The only thing that's going to change is the laws.
Yeah.
And
catfish are very highly sustainable.
And honestly, if you ever get the right person, you get the right person down there in the Senate that knows somebody that's friends with somebody that really likes to catfish, or that senator or one of his people really likes to catfish, and say, hey, wait a minute. Hey, this is something I like to do. I want you to look into this. This needs to change. You might get a change there,
Yeah, especially if they're friends with some marine biologists.
Yeah, that would be even a bigger plus. But, it is what it is.
Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed the show. We probably didn't go over anything that hadn't been gone over a million times already, but maybe we did. I don't know. But it was fun.
Well, this was different. I mean, like I said, we'll definitely take a trip. Maybe, are you going to do the cobia trip with me this year? You going back to Chesapeake with me for the cobia?
I don't know. Probably not. It's like a one-time deal. I've done that.
You didn't like it?
Oh, I loved it. It was awesome. It was freaking fun as shit.
Well, I was going to say if we did that, I was going to take my boat, and then when we got done with that, we could go up to the James and stay a couple of days. Or that was my plan.
Oh, that was your plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
when?
now it's changed, ain't it?
August or what?
No, I think it's April. When did we go last year? Was it
this
sometime in
month?
June?
You trying to
Sometime
go
in
do all
June.
that this month?
In June, JR.
Oh, okay. Yes, June. June sounds good.
Yeah. I think it was June. When was we up there last year? Do you remember?
Oh well, Dieter's trying to hop on the boat with you. He ain't got the Sea Arc anymore.
Dieter, I've got a 21-foot Grady White with a cabin on it, Dieter. So we take you a nap. You get tired.
Yeah, he's got a Grady now. I mean, it's not like a offshore boat, but it's definitely a great boat for the bay.
Shit, boy, people take that boats offshore all the time, man. Don't start knocking on my boat now.
They do. What's your dead rise? What degree dead rise you got on that hull?
I don't have a clue. You'd have to look it up.
Yeah. It might be. I don't know. I haven't seen your boat in person. But
Hold on, I'll tell you.
It looks like an offshore boat. Yeah, he's got a Grady.
On a 93 Grady White Adventure 20.
Built down. And aren't those boats built in Greensboro?
The dead rise is 18 degrees at transom.
Okay, yeah. I think technically it needs to be 19. But yeah, with your how much freeboard you got? You got a lot of freeboard?
Hold on, I'll tell. I don't know if it tells you that on specs or not. Let's see. Here's one for $31,000, 1993 used. Walk around, fuel type. Let's see, feature, other specifications. No, wait a minute. Let's see here.
All right, we got Scott talking about Grady rot. These aluminum boat guys, I tell you, they're so jealous. They're so jealous of the fiberglass guys.
He just bought an overpriced aluminum tin cans.
I mean, it's like one of those things, you know, when like something new comes out and somebody I remember when the what's that little piece of shit car Chrysler makes, the little fucking PT Cruiser, right? Yeah, the little. Anyway, yeah, it's basically like a Dodge Neon or something. But yeah, I remember when those first came out. This dude at work, he sold his Mustang. He had a badass Fox body Mustang. He sold it to buy a PT Cruiser, you know. And he got in this club. He got in this car club. So gay. And he came up to me and he's like, "Man, you got to get in it. You know, these PT Cruisers are where it's at. You know, they're trying to convince me." It's like the same thing, same deal with these aluminum boat guys. You know, they get these aluminum boats, and then, you know, us glass guys, they're jealous of us. So they're like, "Hey, you need to get in this. You need to get in the aluminum boat world. You need to get man." Sorry,
hey, JR.
Sorry you don't have a glass boat, bud.
It says my dead rise, dead rise is at 18 degree with the CV2 holes. You ever heard of a CV boat? You ever heard of CV?
Controlled variable.
A CV is more expensive than a yellowfin.
Oh, okay. That's a brand. I got you.
Yeah. And it says it's got the dead rise at transoms 18 degree with the CV2 hole. Continuously variable V, whatever that means. I don't see nothing about the freeboard.
Yeah. I mean, I would take your boat offshore. That's just me. I took an 18-foot bay boat, 50 miles offshore once. I took my little 19-foot boat. It would blow your mind how many times I took it offshore. I'm talking 50, 60. Took it out over 90 miles out of Florida a couple different times. I ain't scared. Well, I used to not be scared. I'm scared now.
Yeah, I don't see nothing on here about dead rise, but I've seen a lot of people take them offshore. But there again, I asked a question on the Grady White owners page, and my question was, if what's considered offshore? Let's see here. But somebody just texted me. I'm not going to say their name. He really did. He said, "Don't say my name." He don't want to stir the pot. But
Right.
He said bow fishing it's been proven that bow fishing kills way more trophy catfish than Paylakes ever have.
That's not true at all.
No, I don't know.
No, that's not true. No, you got one Paylake. One Paylake is taking out 100,000, 60,000, let's say conservatively, 60,000 pounds of trophy catfish annually. Yeah. Bow fishing they're not touching that. And that's just one. There's over 100 in just Southwest Ohio alone. So nationally, yeah, trophy catfish Paylakes are totally they're bow fishing can't touch it.
Hey, Brian Snipes is back on here. Brian, if you're still here, I think we had asked at one time was the Southern Catfish Conference doing a study. What was it, JR? When they were studying about the fish, how they survive in Paylakes. Is that what it was? You was asking about that?
What was that one more time, Wes? I was reading comments. I'm sorry.
Brian Snipes is on here now. What was that study you said you asked? Was the Southern Catfish Conference doing a study?
Dieter and Jeff Manning years ago. I don't know if it was Southeastern or not, but like they got like some type of regulation passed for catfish. I don't even remember what it was. Dieter, if you're still on here, you can let us know. I will if we don't get our answer here in the next minute, then I'll tag Jeff Manning and we'll ask him. He'll tell us. Yeah, they got something done, and if they were able to get something done, just a little small group of people from, down here in Gastonia, if they can get something done, then geez.
Now, if Lake Gaston, is it considered what does it cover more? Does it have more shoreline on Virginia or North Carolina side?
I'm not sure. I know the license are reciprocal, but as far as like, I don't know what the majority of the lake, I don't know which state it's in.
Yeah. You got a response from Brian yet?
No. I didn't see Brian get back on here.
Yeah, it said Brian Snipes is watching.
Oh.
Go back up about 9 comments. Right
Brian,
before Dan Norris's comment.
Brian may not know that. Hang on a second. Yeah. I'll call Dieter. Put him on speakerphone.
Did both of those records that Zach caught that come from Gaston, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Here you go. I'm calling Dieter.
Kevin Custer said it's Carolina Catfish Club.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't Southeastern. It was Carolina Catfish Club. He may know what we're talking about then. I don't think Dieter's going to answer. Yeah, that sounds right. Carolina Catfish Club.
What was you going to ask Dieter?
I was going to ask him what regulations they got put in place. Because they were able to lobby and get that little small catfish group. They got some fucking laws changed.
Hold on a minute. Let's see if Brian knows. See if I can get him to answer. Hold
on. It was Carolina Catfish Club.
Carolina Catfish Club.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
What's up, dude?
Hey, bud. See, my friends will answer my phone call, JR. Hey, bud, we're still on the show. We were trying to figure out, there were some laws passed on, I think, the Carolina Catfish Club. They did some stuff to get some laws passed for catfishing. Do you know what they were?
Carolina.
The,
This was years ago. That was Deidre and Jeff Manning, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Dieter and Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They didn't want to have that. They met with the biologists a lot and stuff changed. Where that's when they went to one fish in North Carolina per person.
Okay, so they're the ones that got that.
That was in North Carolina. That was years ago. When it changed in North Carolina, I know they had a big part in it. I know they had the biologists come meet with them a couple of times, and had they met at some motel up in Gastonia, and the biologists come out and spoke with a bunch of guys and all, had meetings and all one night.
That's awesome. Yeah, I knew it was something like that, but it's like that in South Carolina too now, right?
South Carolina went statewide is 2 over 32 per person.
Okay.
They lowered the limit to 25 per day instead of 50. Well, there wasn't no limit on it per day. There would be 25 fish per day is the max now. So
that's awesome.
Commercial fishing. They hurt the commercial fishermen. They just can't go out and catch thousands without doing no limit.
Right. That's good.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate it, Brian.
See you, Brian.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.
That's cool. It's kind of like having somebody on the show. Like,
yeah,
call them and just hold it up to the mic. Or, I mean, you really don't even have to hold it up to the mic. You can hear them pretty good.
Let's see where we're at.
Yeah, but yeah, see, they got that regulation. They met with biologists. They played a huge role in like making something happen. I think that's amazing.
Well, I wish they could do something. I wish they did something about striper years ago. But Hartwell. There again, you got there's so many people lives on that lake. And when Hartwell was designed, I read some of the bylaws a couple of years ago, and some of their bylaws says that Hartwell was not designed and is not being designed for a recreational lake. They designed Hartwell to flush sewer systems and power. It's not just used for power. They also use that water some kind of flushing the sewer systems down below Russell.
Mm-hmm.
But there again, I just never could understand why. We went to this big meeting. They had a meeting down in Anderson a couple of years ago, and I did a live video from it. It's about an hour and 35 minutes. And the question Randy Brown wanted me to ask, so I asked and the DNR agent, he didn't have an answer. I said, why do they keep putting striper? Why do they keep stocking it when they don't care about the water quality? Like he said, we're stocking fish, we're putting them in there, and then the Army Corps turns back around. They're the one that operates the dam. They release water at any given time. They'll release all that oxygenated water from down on the bottom where the fish need to live, and starts, just generating and dumping water, and they don't care about the life of the fish. So why is South Carolinians paying so much money through the DNR to have all these striped bass, fingerling stocked in there, but they're not trying to preserve them to keep them alive?
Well, there ain't nothing they can do.
Huh?
What are they going to do? They're going to get more strict on, they're going to make revisions on the Clean Water Act and like limit, put the stranglehold on industry that much more about wastewater and pollution. They can't. I mean, there's really just nothing they can do about it. Quality water's done. We're not going to see it again in our lifetime.
But I mean, they can control that water enough to keep fish alive in it.
I mean, they could.
That's where they just dump a lot of oxygenated water from the bottom.
I guess they could run more water through it. They could run more water through it. But I mean, then your flood control. That's really, they use it for flood control too. So you're kind of killing that if you're. It's like, do we want to?
I hear you, Heather Perry.
Are we using these dams for flood control, or are we going to use these dams to give the fish some oxygen?
Yeah. But like you said, why why do they keep stocking it if they don't worry about the mortality of them? What's the purpose of it?
Well, I guess they're just hoping that they'll stay alive. I mean, what you're saying is they continue to stock them and they continue to die, right? They continue to have fish kills. Yeah. Well, what they'll end up doing is the same thing that Lake Norman did, is they'll just stop stocking stripers and probably start stocking hybrids if they don't already.
I would rather them do that. I mean, I like to catch a hybrid. And then, and I don't understand how this works, but of course you got the oxygen line on Russell, you got an oxygen line on Clark's Hill. And I was trying, and I asked somebody, well, why won't they do it on Hartwell? Well, they was forced to do it on Russell. Something about for backflow of the water, and I forgot. I don't know all those issues of why they did it, but
I would have thought it would have been. I would have thought it would have been solely for the fish.
Well, yeah, it's for the fish, but I never could understand why they wouldn't put one on Hartwell, but they've got an oxygen line on Russell and Clark's Hill. But it's something about the pump back. And I don't know, Scott Perry, if you're on here, quit worrying about my planer boards, you might know. Perry said they pulled the thermocline for power.
Yeah, well, I think what Scott's referring to, and this is the theory that, and it's one of the theories, and in my opinion, it's probably the most accurate theory. However, the guy down at Lake Norman, the biologist that I talked to, disagreed. He had a completely different theory. But I think what Scott's saying is, in summertime, those fish go down to the thermocline, the middle of the water column. You have it's kind of like rich, middle class, and poor, but it's like different water column. One is like hot, and it's got like loaded with oxygen, and then as it tapers down into the, how when you're treading water on a lake, how you can feel the cold water on your feet, that water, it starts to get a little less oxygen, but it's cool. They like it, and it's got adequate oxygen in it for them. And then you get down to that even colder water on the bottom, which they would love temperature wise, but it just doesn't have the oxygen because of all the fucking shit that's on the lake, bottom of the lake, that's actually, sucking up all the oxygen. So they find that happy medium, which is in that thermocline. And what happens is all the fish get in that thermocline because the water's 90 fucking degrees, and they're pulling water from the fucking dam for electricity. And what happens? That thermocline starts to shrink. It gets smaller, smaller, smaller. Before you know it, you got, I don't know, at least 80% of your striper population stuck in that fucking column.
And they won't move.
Well, they won't move because they can't. If they go anywhere else, they're going to die.
Well,
it's almost like they're going to die there, but they're going to die slower.
But striped bass will panic. They won't, like I said, it's almost like they trap themselves. If they get in that area, they won't even try to go find no better water quality.
Right. Yes, I've heard that too.
It's like they panic.
Yeah.
But Scott said that they had to add O2 so they could pump back on Russell. Now, what does that mean? Pump back from Russell. I don't understand.
I don't see how you would have to add oxygen, how that would have anything to do with how them having to release or intake water. I don't know.
Well, I know when Clark's Hill used to be a great fishery, striper and hybrid. When they put that oxygen line in down there at MoDOT and didn't block it off during the summer, guys could go out there and sit for 20 minutes and have a limit. You could get 20 foot off either side of that oxygen line and just literally slaughter them. That was literally like shooting fish in a barrel. Yeah. 5 or 6 years, Clark's Hill's dead now. It's a piss hole fishery.
I remember those days. It's kind of like everything went to shit at the same time that the saltwater striping inside 3 miles in the ocean went to shit.
Yep.
Everything else kind of went to shit too. Now everybody, go up to tail races in the spring. That's about like your best chance you got at catching a half-ass decent fish is like going on our local water race. Anyways, we still got Tennessee though, so that's good. And I still got catfish, trophy catfish.
Ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
somebody also told me, just like in Hartwell, for an example, when they pull that water way down like they used to,
Right.
then you have a lot of trees, you have a lot of brush, you have a lot of debris on the banks. And then when that water comes back up, that debris and wood and stuff actually takes oxygen from the water. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely plays more of a role. It does that more when it sits on the bottom of the lake.
Oh, okay. See, they pump. Scott said they pump and generate power from Russell Dam. Then at night, they reverse pump back to Russell so they can pump again and make power.
Oh, yeah. So the water won't be so low.
Okay.
I got you.
And so to do this, they made the O2 lines.
So basically, there was a reverse pump back to Russell. So they're reverse pumping back to Russell from Hartwell, right?
So what does the O2 lines have to do with that? So they're keeping the water oxygenated or keeping the quality of water as they pump back?
I think they did that for the fish. They did that for the fish because of that, because they're having to pump, generate power from Russell, and then at night they reverse pump back to Russell. So they had to add oxygen lines to counter that for the fish. They had to do it.
So why won't they do it on Hartwell?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, maybe
it's a money thing.
Yeah, it could. I don't know. That's a good question. You Savannah River guys know that. Should know that. Yeah, I remember when they first put that thing into Clark Hill. Man, I was so excited about going down there and fishing that. You could see the tiny bubbles. I wish we had.
You want to kill it too.
Yeah,
that's crazy about that too, JR.
I mean, I was 10, 15 years ago.
You know what was crazy though? Why I said you had to stay about 10 or 20 foot off of it, don't you?
Why?
Your depth finder would go blank.
Oh, because of all the oxygenated water.
The oxygen in the water, the bubbles. I'd always have to stay about at least 10 foot, sometimes 15 or 20 foot off of it for your depth finder to mark correctly. It just looked like a bunch of distortion on your screen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different theories on as far as like thermocline, what it is, and me and Dieter Melhorn, we have like polar opposite ideas of what the thermocline even is.
You can mark your thermocline on a depth finder if you've got a quality depth finder.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you got a depth finder that was made in the past, 10 years, it'll even the cheap ones will mark the thermocline nowadays. Yeah, you used to have a HDS Gen 1, I think, is when people really started recognizing the thermocline on their screen.
So I used to wonder, what's that line right there? And I asked my buddy, I said, every now I don't get it all the time, but every now and then I get it when I get real still. He said, that's your thermocline. I was like, no shit. I've heard that word for years, didn't have a damn clue what it was. So that's
you always notice that you're marking fish right around it.
Right around the thermocline.
Usually like right above it, yeah.
Yep. Well, JR, we've been on air for 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Yep. Hey, it's been a good one, guys. Hey, y'all have a good night. Love you. Thanks for coming by. And I might have acted like I was mad earlier, but I promise you I wasn't mad. I was just putting on a show for the show. So yeah, love you guys. And
come on, man. You was madder than hell.
Good night. Good night, Wes. Good night, Scott. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming by, commenting. And we'll see you next week on Real Fisherman.
Good night, everybody. Peace.